by the author of Agatha Christie and the 11 Missing Days, whose name is Jared Cade. And he says, quote, "Hell hath no fury. She wanted to disrupt his weekend with Nancy Neal and make him suffer, although she still adored him. What no one could have foreseen was the press reaction. She was propelled from being an author with a reputation into one of the most famous women in England." Which I think is fair, right? It's who says, I'm gonna run away from home for a couple days with the anticipation of
a national manhunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's no way you would consider that would ever happen. That it would just be that Archie, her husband, would get word that she was missing and he would say, oh, better go look for her, and she would resurface a few days later and say, see how it feels, or whatever, you know, I gotcha, or whatever.
But once it gained steam, she couldn't get out from under it.
Right, that's exactly, I mean, I think you kind of panic, right? If you see your face on the front page of the New York Times and they're like, missing, thousands of people looking, blah, 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 you're not going to be like, ooh, I better, like, show up.
Yeah, because
you're going to see if you can find a way to make it go away.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, well, by doing what she did, I don't think she really thought through the consequences that well. She faked leaving her car someplace not anywhere near Yorkshire with her belongings still in it, you know, and then she picks up the paper, sees her name in there, her picture says, oh, I guess she touched the police right away. They're going to say, well, why was your car parked where it was? There's not a lot of good explanations for that. And I don't think she thought or planned to. She was really quite carefully about it.
Oh, I'm sure that it wasn't really a plan. I get the feeling that if she did this intentionally, it was a bit of, I'm going to do this. And then she stops. Crap. I can't do that. You know, like, just kind of making it up as she goes along. And she's like, well, I said I'd go to Yorkshire, so I went to Yorkshire, and then I checked in. I was having a good couple of days, and then, oh, hell. It's all over the news. If I come out now, it's going to be terrible. Oh, it's another day. It's still terrible. Oh, you know, it's just every day, just hoping it'll go away.
It'll die down, yeah.
Yeah, bad assumption to make.
Well, fun fact. She was actually driving, the way she was driving, I know you guys were kind of speculating back and
When
forth.
she
but
first left?
Yeah, when she first left, no, because she wasn't driving towards Yorkshire from their house. And I know that Joe does this all the time, so it's my turn to do this.
What's that?
She was actually driving towards the place where Archie was spending the weekend with his lover.
Yeah, good omen.
Oh, on the map,
Yeah.
it kind of lines up in the direction she was going. Got it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe she sat down and thought, I need to go confront him or confront them or whatever, and then
Car breaks down with the great electronics.
with gray electronics.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's seriously a possibility.
Yeah.
I remember, like, some years back, a friend of mine had a Jensen Healy convertible, my little British sports car. That had Lucas Electrics in it. And he was living in Newport at the time, and we went to a concert in Eugene. And night, we're driving back to Newport. And, well, the car just crapped out. In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
We had to spend the night sleeping in the car. Yeah.
So she could have been doing it. She could have been lying, faking it because it was a trick gone awry, I guess. She could have been doing it to stage a disappearance to have his name be sullied. I don't know.
Maybe she was heading that direction to murder him and his new lover.
It's unlikely, but maybe it's possible.
Hey.
Yeah. But then why she went and boarded a train to someplace else?
I realized she was being stupid. Not to be mean, but she's like, this is stupid. What am I doing? Not
Could have been.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Could have been. It's like
One bad idea became another.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine her car did break down. The nearest town is that little town called Guildford or whatever it's pronounced. And so she walks back there and just says, you know what? Screw that car. I'm just gonna get on a train.
Yeah. Or she decides, oh wow, that was crazy talk. I need to go take a spa day.
Yeah.
And then it, gets out from under her again. I don't know. These are all
But
good
again,
theories.
I didn't have time, unfortunately, to read Jared Cade's book about the missing 11 days.
Oh, yeah, nor did I.
Yeah, I wish I had, but I did read a few summaries of it. Apparently, he interviewed some of the relatives of some of the people who were actually involved in this, and they said that she actually concocted this whole scheme with one of her friends. And actually got some help and support from these people.
Yeah, I've seen stuff about that too.
Yeah. So that's serious theory number one. Serious theory number two is that she was actually doing it to sully the name of her husband's lover.
It's true, that did sort of bring that out into the open, huh?
That did, I mean, brought that whole situation out in the open, but also she did check into the hotel under the same last name as her husband's lover, which is kind of sketchy. Like, it's not...
It's odd.
Neil isn't the most common last name, especially if he's just said, oh, I'm leaving you for Nancy Neal. So... The other little thing that I read, and I honestly don't remember where I read it, but I read that Agatha, when she was asked why she gave that as her fake name, she actually gave the mailing address of the Neal family and said that inquiries regarding this matter should be directed there, which is pretty boss. Right? So that, I don't know.
In a way, though, if she was faking it, it kind of worked. Because I don't think she and her husband officially were divorced for another year and a half or so.
It was another year.
Took a while.
Another year, yeah. It wasn't like, I mean, they had already had their trial separation, which was, reconciliation, which didn't work at all.
No.
So, in a way, it kind of worked because... it wasn't like he was free to just go about with Miss Neal and have an open relationship, because technically he's still married, and that was highly frowned upon.
Oh, yeah. So that's another option, I guess.
Probably was an attempt to just spoil their weekend and maybe shine a little bad light of publicity on both of them.
But there's also the option 2, that she wasn't faking it, that she really did go into a fugue state. I also think this is fairly reasonable. Agatha was under a lot of stress, as we mentioned, emotionally, maybe physically, I don't know, but certainly emotionally. She had a lot of the stuff that we were talking about earlier. And she was, it turns out, according to most reports, she was really still in love with her husband, Archie. So it wasn't just the embarrassment of a divorce and him taking a lover, it was also the heartbreak of, him saying, oh, I don't love you anymore, I'm leaving you for a younger woman.
Oh, yeah.
Bye. So, I don't know, she could have easily slipped into a fugue state even before she left the house. I mean, if she got in the car, she was driving the wrong direction. She could have been confused at that point. She could have hit her head in the car, in some way. She could have slipped into a fugue state while she was driving. That's, she kind of lost control of the car, fine, and then she gets out and is confused. And
so basically, she could have slipped into that fugue state from any time when she was in the house to when she till after she left her car.
Yeah, I would say that if she actually was in a fugue state, it wasn't at the spa. Like, she got there and checked in, that.
Yeah, she didn't get such a great massage that she went into a fugue state.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay here forever.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, maybe it was the car breaking down. Maybe that was the last straw.
It's possible. Maybe that was it. Maybe the car broke down and she just
lost it.
Yeah,
literally. Oh,
that is kind of stressful.
We might need to stop doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But no, it is stressful. It's super stressful, especially as a woman. In the English countryside, to just suddenly, there's nothing.
Wind up being the next Maura Murray.
Yeah, or the first Maura Murray.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been the next.
Well, I'm just saying if you're a woman today and you break down, then you could be the next Maura
Sure.
Murray.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'm torn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about this.
Well, I'm trying to remember where I read this, but she was there for like about 10 days, I think. Nobody knows exactly. I don't think exactly when.
Right, which is weird a little, right?
Yeah, well, she had to go to London and then catch a train from London. Supposedly, she had some co-conspirators in London, if you believe that particular theory. She might have stayed there for a day or two, and apparently these people also helped her out by giving her some cash. And then she headed on up there. But apparently while she was staying there, it happened a week before this whole thing happened. She was, I think, at Harrods in London, and she had lost her ring in the store. And she, while she was staying at the Hydro, she actually wrote a letter to Harrods inquiring about the lost ring.
Oh.
Yeah, she did. She, I believe under the name Agatha Christie.
Huh.
So it appears that her memory was intact, if this is true.
Yeah, if that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
It would appear that, but I
Yeah.
don't know that we can, prove it either
Well,
way.
that's it. I mean, I haven't seen a copy of the letter.
Mm-mm.
Eventually, the ring was found, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah.
The one thing about Agatha Christie that makes me wonder if maybe it's not real, that she was faking it, is for the most part, I never really saw her ever reflected in any way as an exceptionally happy person.
Yeah.
No.
She hated a lot of things.
Yes.
I mean, she was a bit of an anti-Semite.
She was.
She
Yeah.
also hated her own characters
Yeah.
in her books. Poirot and what's the
Marple? Miss
Marple.
Marple.
Miss Marple
She hated them?
hated them.
Why did she hate them?
She was tired of writing about them, and she really had created these characters that she said she detested. It was 1945. She killed him. Poirot.
Poirot.
She had written his death and then put it in a safe deposit box with instructions for it to be published upon her death. And then she ended up, of course, publishing that story just shortly before she died because she knew she was going to pass.
Yeah.
But she, in general, just didn't seem like a happy person. So I don't know that suddenly, her husband turning the tables on her, I can't see it as coming as a shock, because if she had been that angry or not happy about things for a while, people tend to know when their relationships are on the skid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does sound like she was kind of a hard person to live with.
Yeah.
There was an incident of her throwing a full tea kettle at Archie's head.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I don't know.
either.
I don't know if that was before or after he asked for the divorce. I'm
I
not
would
sure.
assume after,
I was going to say it was probably just before.
Oh.
He's like, that's it, we're getting divorced.
Uh-huh.
but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think I do break a little bit more towards the she faked it. I think that
Oh, I do.
seems more likely. But I also know that the mind is capable of doing some really weird stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
And
the mind is capable of doing strange things, but it's still incredibly rare. Whereas the mind is capable of hatching sneaky plots to spoil your husband's weekend.
Yeah.
So it's much more capable of doing that.
Yeah, but the defense mechanisms of your psyche,
they're pretty strong.
they're crazy creative too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like even if if she was never really happy and she just got like way less happy, and you became really depressed, was dealing with all of this emotional baggage and stuff. Those are literally the textbook circumstances of somebody going into this kind of fugue state. So it's also not, I think, unreasonable to say that it could have happened.
I wish we had descriptions from the staff of how Teresa Neal, her assumed name, behaved if she was a totally happy-go-lucky kind of person that would totally support the fugue
Yeah,
state to me.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Because the brain snaps, takes a break, everything relaxes.
But, like, I wish we had anything from the staff. It doesn't even have to be described. Even like as much as she reacted poorly when we told her that she was not that person, or she seemed like she knew.
Yeah,
That would be super helpful.
the descriptions I have seen about what the staff said is they said that she wasn't holding up in her room. She was actually hanging out, reading, doing crossword
going
puzzles,
to dances.
going to
and stuff.
dances.
This was the fun. Like when her husband Archie came to retrieve her, she made him wait until she had changed into her evening gown. Which again, like I don't know, like it's never explained how she has those clothes. Did she buy them? What did she do?
Yeah, I suspect. Well, she was in London. She could have stopped off and done a little shopping.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So she actually changed into her evening gown because it was evening before she came and left with him.
Yeah, I heard that story too.
She seemed to be, she was socializing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that supports the thing that Joe was talking about. If she had bought those clothes, she would have had to stop in London and couldn't have gone shopping till the day after she'd left her house. Because if she leaves her house and it's dark, okay, it's Christmas, that's about 5 o'clock or so, plus a train ride to London. You're going to get there about 9 o'clock. Nothing is open in London after 9 o'clock.
No, you're not going
Yeah.
to get there. Well, she left the house at 9, I thought.
Was it?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, so she's not going to get
It
to
was
London.
later.
I'm saying best case scenario, if she leaves when it gets dark, she's still got hours before she gets there. There's no way she could have made those purchases that same day.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Which means
no.
she had to have somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
She might have even stayed in Guildford for the night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
true.
She possibly could have stayed
Grab
there,
the
caught a train in the
morning
morning. It might not even be that there's a 10 o'clock p.m. train to London.
Seems like there wouldn't be, but you know, who am I?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our story. Do you have any more thoughts?
Not really. I'm just saying it was just her being sneaky. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I waffle on this one.
Sure, me too.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. And it is a little bit of a shorter show, sorry. If you follow us on social media, you know why.
Actually, if you guys would like, I can pad it out a little bit by just reading something out of a random book.
No, that's okay, I think.
Yeah.
No, I've seen
I think
the books
we're
on
okay.
your shelf.
Yeah,
now.
we don't really want any of
Yeah.
that.
How to clean your gun.
No, we don't need that.
All right, fine.
So there's going to be some links that we use to research this, as well as a link to download the podcast on the website. The website is, of course, thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can also find us on iTunes, of course, you know that. You can leave us a comment and a rating if you'd like. That helps people find us. We're streaming on almost every single thing that you can stream anything on anymore. We are on Facebook. We have a page and a group. We do have both of those. I found on Reddit this past weekend that some people were confused about that. There are two different parts. The group is private, so you do have to send a request.
Yep.
But check out Reddit, our subreddit. It's just Thinking Sideways for links to that. You can also find us on Twitter. It's Thinkin Sideways. No G.
Drop the G.
You can always send us an email. That email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com, which is patreon.com/thinkingsideways.
I think you've pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, I guess have a good week, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.
See you next week, folks.
Later, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Toodaloo.
Hey guys, Steve here. You are listening to one of our original 26 episodes. If you've listened to any of our new episodes, you're going to notice that we're sounding a little different in these ones.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
There is.
They've been remastered.
They have been remastered.
Because they had a really annoying hum.
Yeah, I mean, a huge thanks to listener James for doing almost all of the legwork on this
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
You'll also notice if you had listened to what we're calling the Lost 26 episodes before, and you're re-listening now, the music and sound effects are gone.
Yes, we've gone back to straight audio. So be warned, we sound a little different today than we do in what you're about to listen to.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Well, hi there, and welcome back to Thinking Sideways, the podcast. I am Steve.
I'm Devin.
I'm Joe.
And we, as always, are going to get into a story that doesn't quite have an answer and try and figure it out. Because Joe loves to solve them.
Oh yeah, we'll solve this one for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
Well, let's hop right into the story. I'm not going to tell you what it is quite yet. I want to set the stage. So it's 1950, and we're in Germany.
I better stop talking then, huh?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
And it's a nice sunny day. It's May. And wait, do you hear that?
Yeah, what was that?
That is a U.S. airplane flying over the field that we're standing in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because we're in Germany in the 1950s, which means that it is now an occupied territory.
Yeah, pretty normal.
Yeah, pretty normal, which makes sense. Well, there's a problem, though, with this. And that is what happens supposedly within days of this particular plane or any plane flying over this field. And that is the appearance of the potato beetle.
Not just any potato beetle. The
Colorado
Colorado
potato beetle. You are absolutely correct, sir.
Yeah.
So here's what the story is, ladies and gentlemen. According to the accounts, and this is one specifically, it was the 23rd of May, 1950, and a farmer by the name of Max Troger had noticed American planes flying over his fields. He's in East Germany. And the next morning, according again to his account, he was shocked to discover that his fields of potatoes were full of potato beetles.
Not just any potato beetle.
The Colorado potato beetle. Which, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know anything about the beetle, and we'll get into some details on it, but it's pretty devastating for potato crops.
So this is like the German-Irish potato famine.
Essentially, yes. If you actually try and put that in, the Irish potato famine always comes up.
Of course.
Which makes this difficult unless you know what to look for.
Right.
So here's what's going on is after these planes go by and all these farmers are reporting that there's Colorado potato beetles all over their fields, the East German press goes nuts with it. The politicians are making speeches. They are accusing the U.S. of having dropped all of these potato beetles on their crops. And I'm guessing that this propaganda campaign that came from it is that they're saying, well, the Americans are trying to cut down our food supply and therefore take us over, those imperialists.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the people of East Germany were really, really scared about the possibility that, we'd boot the Russians out.
In hindsight, not such a problem. Well, like I said, there was a giant propaganda campaign that came up from this. There were posters, little leaflets, bits on the radio, speeches, as I said. They were going crazy talking about this sudden infestation and how it was the fault of the Americans. They actually nicknamed the Colorado potato beetle Amokaffer, which I understand translated is Yankee Beetle. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So what happens is children are, at the end of their school days, not allowed to just go home. They actually have to go out to the fields and go through the crops and try and pick up as many potato beetles as possible.
That's the real tragedy from this, right? Is that
All
the kids
these-
were losing homework time.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I'm sure they were really thrilled to be out there.
It was the long game of Americans, right? We were trying to make the Germans stupid by just taking out all of the homework time for young
Yes.
Germans.
That's it.
exactly it.
There are accounts that these children, some didn't really care, some believed it. Girls evidently were really squeamish about touching these beetles, and from the accounts, they would get 20 to 25 beetles an afternoon each, and then put them into glass bottles, and they'd be shipped off to be destroyed.
I read one account. It was an interview with a boy who had been going out to the fields, and he said, "Yeah, I don't really believe that the Americans are dropping these, but we have to pick them off anyways."
But
Mom and
they're
Dad
still-
said to do
Yeah.
it, so I gotta do it.
It's like, if you're living in a country that doesn't have any pesticides to speak of, then you got to do something if you want to eat.
Yeah.
Well,
You can't be having your crops destroyed.
No, because you gotta understand the potato evidently was a main crop for the German people. That was a main food source.
Well, especially right after World War II.
Exactly.
This was,
Exactly. Again, you got to remember what the era is. There's things have been destroyed.
Still kind of hard times for a lot of people.
Hard times. You're trying to get back on your feet. You grow whatever food you can.
And potatoes grow, and they are hearty.
They are a hearty little thing.
And you can make vodka out of them too.
This isn't Russia, Joe.
That might be one reason why there was such a scarcity of potatoes, because there's a quote here from somebody who recalls sharing a single potato between herself and her mom and dad for breakfast. So it probably wasn't just a potato beetle. It probably was the Soviets carting away half the potato crop to make vodka back in the home.
Yeah, maybe. Well, what comes out of this is that nearly half of the crops in 1950 were destroyed in East Germany by the Colorado potato beetle.
That's substantial.
Yeah, that's a huge reduction in available food crops.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing.
Especially if it's a staple.
Yes, yeah, it's one of those main staples. So, like I said in the beginning, the Germans were blaming the U.S. for dropping the beetles on them. The U.S., of course, was saying, "No, we didn't do it. It wasn't us." And we're going to get into the theories about what's going on and why is this invasive species suddenly there.
It actually had been in Europe before.
Yeah, and we're going to go there, but I do want to talk about the beetle a little bit. Because, we hear about this beetle, you don't really have a lot of context, so I just want to give some background on this particular little bug. So the Colorado potato beetle is very prolific. A female can lay about 800 eggs in a season.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yeah.
Insect birth things freak me out. As a woman, I just have to say.
So their eggs are only about 1 millimeter. They're really small. They lay them in, I guess, bunches of 20 to 30 at a time on the bottom of leaves. So they're not easy to spot. Because if you've ever seen a potato leaf, they have lots. They're just covered in them. So you can imagine every one of those covered in eggs on the bottom.
That's a lot of leaves to turn over.
That's a lot of leaves to turn over.
Yeah.
And basically what happens is they hatch, and those hatchlings immediately begin to eat the leaves. They do what's called skeletonizing, where they basically eat all of the leafy matter and you just get left with the veins of the leaf.
Yeah.
That reminds me of about every other shrub in my yard.
And then eventually they go on to, through their life cycle, they pupate, they turn into a larva, which goes underground, then they come back up, and they're an adult, at which point they're eating again. And they're eating the leaves again.
And laying eggs.
And laying eggs. And the hard part about the larva is they will do what's called diapause, I believe is how you pronounce it, which basically means if the conditions aren't right, they'll just stay essentially in hibernation in the ground and then wait till it's nice to come out again.
That's the worst.
So you're thinking, oh, it's a cold snap, yay, they're all going to go away. No, they just come right back.
I feel like mosquitoes do that too.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Colorado potato beetle can go through up to 3 generations in a season.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of little bugs.
Yeah, well, I certainly think that if it's possible that we rounded them all up from over here and dumped them over there just to get rid of them. Sounds like
yeah, well, that could be.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's the multiplication of those is just like, it's amazing. It's astounding, especially if you don't have anything that's really eating them, no natural predators in that area, no pesticides. If the best you can do is school-aged kids picking off the beetles they can see, you know, you think of, you know, you drop 800, right? And each, 400 of those are females, and they each lay 800 eggs every, month?
Essentially.
I can't do that math in my head.
No, I can't either.
But that's, easily millions really, really soon.
Yeah, and they're very recognizable. They're a very distinct little beetle. They're, I believe, also referred to as the 10-stripe beetle.
Oh.
Because they're kind of yellowish orange, and they have 10 brown stripes across their
Okay,
back.
actually, I know what you're talking
And
about
they're
now.
kind of decent size. They're about a millimeter long, or excuse me, a centimeter long.
Yeah, they're not a little bug at all.
No,
They've got some size to them. And here's a couple of facts. So we talked about how many they can, the eggs that a female will lay. A single larva, and again, this is just hammering the point home on how much they can devour, will eat 40 square centimeters of leaf in a day.
That's okay.
That's a lot of area to be devouring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other hard part about the beetle is it is extremely resistant to insecticides.
Oh.
Meaning that they're very good at adapting. So for a couple of generations or a couple of years, you might wipe them out with one poison, but then they're gonna adapt to it, and suddenly you got to find something else.
Do they only eat the potato plant, the one kind of potato plant?
No, they will eat potatoes, cucumbers. There's something else that I can't think of at the moment. They do several crops, but their favorite is potatoes.
So it's not like you could just rip out this one breed of potato and plant a different kind. It's
Yeah, if you think about it, it's not the potatoes they're eating, it's the leaves.
That's true, yeah.
So it would be pretty hard to switch plants like that.
Yeah.
But I think they actually had some success with DDT, and then unfortunately a DDT resistance strain of the beetle turned up.
Yeah. As it always does.
Yeah, nature's kind of funny that way.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's hop into some theories as to how the beetle got there or what the deal is. So we will go ahead and take the bull by the horns, and we will take on the popular theory, which is the potato beetle is known to have made its way into Germany in the past. I believe it was in the late 1800s. There was a outbreak
but it was contained. They were all destroyed. But the potato beetle was in England. They were known to be in parts of France. So it wasn't as if it had never been on the European continent. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to go ahead and say that the U.S. did it, here is some of the facts.
We're saying the U.S. intentionally did it.
Yes, that it was an intentional
like a bomb
dumping.
drop.
It's essentially